story right now with less than 48 hours to go before the International Court of Justice at The Hague decides proceedings on the hearing of Kulbushan Jadhav case. NewsX continues to break down India's strategy to secure his release. Now, sources are telling NewsX that India has dug out two past precedents which the ICJ held nations guilty for not allowing consular access to foreign nationals. It found guilty despite their guilt eventually being proven. Sources also suggest that the Indian camp have confided to NewsX that they are quite confident of their precedents holding water before the ICJ, because not only was Kulbushan denied consular access 16 times, his guilt too has not been conclusively proven. That's what we're getting from our sources at The Hague, as well as our inputs coming in from our colleague Ashish Singh. In the meantime, we'll go across to Geeta Mohan, my colleague joining me on this. Geeta, clearly the two precedents we're talking about here, and sources in The Hague, of course, confirmed to us that these two precedents in the past, one, of course, between the US and Mexico and one between the US and Germany. In both these cases, the ICJ proved that despite the nations contending, their guilt of not denying consular access was proven, and we understand India is hinging our strategy on these two past precedent cases as well. Geeta, can you hear me? We'll try and get to Geeta in just a bit, but let me just tell you about these two cases. Of course, India is trying to hinge our defense of our case on these two particular cases. It's, of course, the Legrand brothers between the US and Germany, where the Legrand brothers were found guilty in the US court of killing a US national. They were denied consular access, and the US went ahead and executed them anyway, but the ICJ held that the US was guilty of not providing consular access in that particular case. And the other case, of course, relates to a US versus Mexico case. Those are details on your screens right now. The Avena case, as it's known, they, of course, had charges of assaulted murder and robbery against them. But that's beside the point right now. The point, of course, we're trying to make right now is very clear, that in the past, similar cases between two countries have been adjudicated fairly by the ICJ, and in both these cases, even though the nation concerned didn't really adhere to the jurisdiction or the verdict eventually of the ICJ held them guilty. Now, the first precedent, like I said, was the Legrand case between the US and the German authorities. The second was the Avena case between the US and Mexico. We understand from inputs coming in really from Ashish Singh at The Hague. He's been talking to people in The Hague, sources as well, and sources within the Indian contingent led by Harish Salve. Remember, we've understood that these two cases are going to be cited as far as the Indian defense is concerned. Geeta is back with us now. Geeta Mohan joining us live. Geeta, these two precedents, we've been talking about them, and now it's confirmed that these two cases will be used as part of the defense strategy of the Indian side. The Avena case, US-Mexico, and the Legrand case, US-Germany. In both these cases, despite the US not adhering to the judgment, the ICJ held the country guilty of not giving consular access, and that could be clearly the case that India could be hoping repeats itself when it comes to Jadhav.
Well, that's right. It was on the 29th of March that Pakistan had tried to preempt India's move by going to the ICJ and revising its commitment on what are the areas in which ICJ has jurisdiction. And that was very clear because the execution order of Kulbushan Jadhav hadn't taken place after. Now, India stumped Pakistan on one count and one count alone, where Pakistan now absolutely does not know what to do. And that has to do with the fact that after being cornered, India did not approach the International Court to hear the Kulbushan Jadhav case. India approached ICJ only for one thing, and that is violation of the Vienna Convention. That consular access not being granted to India is the only area of concern for India. And on that front, the issue that is at hand over here is India citing three cases. That is Paraguay versus USA, Germany versus USA, and Mexico versus USA. In all these three cases, the significant issue was about violation of the Vienna Convention, where the United States of America did not inform the third party or the country of origin of the nationals being tried in US of consular access. That right having been denied was the case that was fought at the ICJ, and on all three counts it was the country such as Germany, Mexico and Paraguay who actually won on the count of Vienna Convention being flouted. In this case, India again will be citing these very same cases to say we do not want a third-party intervention in the Kulbushan Jadhav case. All we are asking for is for the ICJ to hear the case on whether if there has been violation of Vienna Convention or not. And on that count, Pakistan will not have an argument, will not have a defense. So India has really stumped Pakistan Athar on this one issue, being cornered but yet finding a way out.
All right, let's just break this down for our viewers in simple language now, Geeta. What we're trying to tell our viewers is no matter, and this is a precedent really and has been proved twice at least in the past, no matter what crimes Kulbushan Jadhav is accused of, no matter what the magnitude of supposed or alleged guilt he might be under, it does not give Pakistan the right to deny consular access. And the fact that it has denied consular access makes them guilty of the Vienna Convention. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's the only case that India will be fighting on, and the only argument that India is going to put forth, the only plea that India has made to the ICJ. The cornering of India, Athar, was for one thing, and Pakistan was doing it only to ensure that India has no option and as last resort goes to an international court. A court that India on her own has not gone to in the past when it comes to Pakistan, because India maintains and continues to maintain that there cannot be a third-party intervention when it comes to issues related to India and Pakistan. But in this case, because India was pushed to a corner and Pakistan absolutely walled India on the issue of Kulbushan Jadhav with no access and not even legal aid being provided to Kulbushan Jadhav, is the reason why India approached the ICJ, but on one count alone, that India wants consular access, and if consular access is given to India, the truth will come out, Athar. Kulbushan Jadhav's version will come out for the world to see.
All right, this is what we're getting for our viewers right now. Our colleague Ashish Singh has been sending inputs from the Netherlands, where he's been sent to report, of course, and he will be joining us later as well. Geeta, clearly these two concrete precedents that India has been shoring up really to buff up the case as well, does put India's case on terra firma, on firm footing, and it does look like that Pakistan will have a tough time arguing not just in the ICJ about why consular access was not given, but also in case of a pro-India verdict there. It will be a loss of face of Pakistan. I'm just being told, Geeta, that Ashish has joined us now from The Hague in Netherlands. And Ashish, we've been telling our viewers, of course, about the precedents India is going to use. The Avena case, US versus Mexico, and the Legrand case, US versus Germany. And we understand that the Indian side is going to firm up strategy based upon these two precedents. In which particular case, and very simply put for our viewers, in this particular case, the Jadhav case, Ashish, the magnitude of his guilt, whatever his alleged crimes are, as Pakistan alleges, are not going to matter, because India has very clearly harped upon only one aspect of it, that it was denied consular access to an Indian citizen, which is against the Vienna Convention. Ashish.
Well, that's right, Athar, and not only the one case, as you mentioned, it's going to be at least 3 different cases, and I was speaking to the officials of the Registrar of the International Court of Justice and some of the staff members of the President of the Court, and what they told me off record, obviously they are not ready to comment until the case is completely heard and the verdict is out. The 3 cases of 1998, one is of Paraguay versus USA, that's also known as the Briard case. This is of April 1998. And the second case is of Germany versus USA. As you rightly pointed out, this is also known as the Legrand case of March 1999. And the third one is of 2003, of January 2003, Mexico versus USA, known as the Avena and others case. Now, going by the history of all 3 cases, the Indian government's position is much more stronger as compared to the Pakistan government's position for the Monday hearing. These are the three cases which are going to set platform for the precedents, rather, for the Monday hearing, and these are the three exact cases which ICJ has heard in recent past as far as the Vienna Convention violations and the death penalty cases are concerned, also here in the legal term of the ICJ known as the VCCR cases. So going by the history of these three cases, it's pretty evident that the Indian government would emerge victorious as far as the provisional order is concerned on Monday by the ICJ.
All right. Clearly, India is using these precedents in the past to use and shore up the strategy there as well. And Ashish, of course, one more point that we are telling our viewers right now is the fact that in all these past cases, the ICJ did hold guilty all those nations that denied consular access. So in either case, it's going to be a very, very easy sort of point to prove in ICJ for India. And there are full chances that Pakistan will be held guilty of contravention of VCCR because they've denied consular access not once, not twice, but 16 times. So no matter what the verdict is and whether or not the Pakistanis adhere by the ICJ verdict whenever it comes, certainly full chances of them being held guilty by the ICJ of contravention.
100%. When I was speaking to the officials here right behind me in the building on the right side wing of the Peace Palace, they told me clearly that going by the prima facie, even before the hearing, it's pretty evident that Pakistan has violated the Vienna Convention, and they cited these three examples to me. They do not want to be quoted, they do not want to come on camera, that exactly what's going to be the precedents cases as far as the ICJ's hearing on Monday is concerned. But it's pretty evident that the Pakistan government has violated all the Vienna Conventions. Certainly the Pakistan military court trial of Kulbushan Jadhav is the basic foundation on the basis of which the Indian government has challenged the Pakistan government here at the International Court of Justice. Also, I was speaking to a couple of people who are part of the India's legal team, and they have already arrived here and are in touch with the embassy officials here in The Hague. They have also told me that the Indian government has done enough homework. They have not just approached the ICJ for the sake of approaching, or the Indian government had run out of options. That was not the case. They know the Indian government was aware that it's a pretty strong case against Pakistan at the international forum, and that's the reason why 4.5 decades after the first case, the Indian government has decided to approach the ICJ, a third party, which the Indian government has always been of the opinion that would never approach a third party while dealing with Pakistan, and the Indian government has done it. So certainly the Indian legal team has done their homework. They know the past examples, the precedents that have been set by the ICJ, and I'm pretty confident that on Monday, by say 5 p.m. the Netherlands time, so that's around say 8:30 or 9 maximum by Indian time, we will have a provisional order in favor of the Indian government. It's a clear cut and case against Pakistan.
All right, very, very clearly the Indian side has done their homework. They've read up really on all the precedents, and it does look like the Indian contingent is on solid and firm footing as far as this is concerned. Also, Ashish, not to put you on the spot or anything, I'm sure there are other strategies involved from the Indian side, not just the precedents, of course, which go in India's favor clearly, and that's for anyone to see. But I'm sure there are other strategies, other viewpoints the Indian side is approaching it from, and they must be firming up that strategy right now, even as we speak, Ashish.
Exactly, Athar, and keeping the national security in mind and the life is at stake of Kulbushan Jadhav, I would not be able to reveal much to our viewers. Yes, I have learnt at least 3 to 4 different aspects that would be discussed by the Indian government at the ICJ on Monday. I would just reveal a couple of points. One is the precedents of these 3 cases.
Right.
Second is of the bilateral treaties between Indian and Pakistan government. And there are a couple of more and stronger points that the Indian government has prepared that would be revealed during the argument or the oral presentation from the Indian government side between 10 and 11:30 a.m. the Hague time, when the hearing would begin by the Indian government's oral presentation to the President of the Court on Monday.
All right,
Okay?
Ashish, thank you for all these inputs, and we of course will be waiting with bated breath when you do report on Monday when the hearing begins. Thank you, Ashish Singh, for joining us from The Hague. Geeta Mohan, one last query from you. As Ashish was telling us right now, there are other strategies that cannot perhaps be discussed currently, but will be discussed subsequently when come Monday, really. The fact that one thing is very clear, that topmost priority for the Indian side has to be the safety and security of Mr. Jadhav himself, and every other consideration must be trumped for that one particular priority, that is, come what may, Jadhav's security must not be compromised.
Well, absolutely. There are other options also that are being looked into other. But the big point over here is that while the case comes up for hearing on Monday in the ICJ, there are 15 judges. And all those 15 judges are going to be, and normally are part of all the cases. And those 15 judges come from various countries that are put two and two together. You will see the kind of diplomacy that is at work over here when it comes to the judges, when it comes to the countries, when it comes to Vienna Convention, and how no country will tolerate violation of Vienna Convention, given that it could be their own citizen next in line when in the future. And hence, these are areas which are absolutely no-go, and we haven't seen ICJ entertaining or agreeing with a country that has violated the Vienna Convention. 15 judges are there from various countries.
Right. Thank you, Geeta Mohan, as well, for joining us on this story. At this point, we'll take a very quick